guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, including news, business, politics, finance, current events, and most importantly right now, stimulus and the election. As you guys know, I post lots of stimulus videos, ways to help you guys get money. I did one earlier about recurring monthly stimulus checks, and they're doing this in several cities. So I detail that. Go check that out. Links will be in the description and up here somewhere, but make sure and go watch that video. But right now, I'm going to continue to cover the election because even though I know the media has declared Biden the winner, things aren't over. Not because I'm a big old Trump supporter, not because that's what I want, but because that's the reality of it. Just because the media calls something and somebody does a victory speech doesn't mean it's official. I think this is going to get much stranger and much weirder. Just the fact that Trump and his side have been so incredibly quiet makes me question. Anybody else going through that? I'm just like, typically Trump's super loud. Now, granted, he's always loud on his Twitter. It's probably never going to change. That's one of his quirks. But even Twitter just keeps censoring everything about him. In fact, even some of my videos about this situation are starting to get demonetized here and there. So it's getting very interesting. And by interesting, I mean stupid. But I have been doing videos where I'm showing you guys that evidence of voter fraud, of voter suppression, of voter intimidation, of all of these things have been coming out and coming to the surface, more and more evidence. And as we know, as I've said, President Trump has a team of people, a team of lawyers that he is getting across the country that are helping him with this situation, which I have been documenting, as you wonderful, beautiful subscribers know about. So today we're going to go in and we're going to dive deeper because I've been saying this for a while, and finally I'm going to do a comprehensive video on this specific subject. I have been explaining for a while, if you crunch the numbers, the data, and the statistics, it doesn't match up with what happened with Trump's lead versus Biden coming back in. And I'm not saying that because it's what I want or I want my guy to win. I'm saying it because statistically, it doesn't make sense. And today, get out your pens, papers, and calculators, y'all. We're going to be crunching numbers. I found an awesome website. In fact, it was through, what is her name? Sound off in the comments. I can't remember. Something Dundas? Lee Dundas, that video I did, she had the information up on her site, on her Facebook page. Go check out Lee Dundas. She is a lawyer, human rights lawyer that's helping with this situation with the Trump campaign. I have a link as well. I did a video on her just recently, and she went into detail on some of the stuff that the campaign is going through and what they're trying to do, and gave us some helpful information. So that's what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at the numbers and why mathematically and statistically the situation just doesn't make sense. But before we do, guys, I want you to know, as always, I'm giving away a $100 gift card in this video. All you have to do to be eligible, simple, like the video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, boom, you're entered, you're eligible. That's all you have to do. Make sure and do it for any video of mine you see, and do it. And make sure when you do, that when you leave comments and you share the content, the more you do that, the more chances you have to win. So if you share the content 50 times, and if you leave 50 comments, you have 50 more chances to win, and it all helps me grow the channel. And it helps get this information to people, and I think this information is super, super important because I know this is going to become a bigger and bigger issue over the next several weeks. You guys know I've been making my prediction. My prediction is Trump's going to come back swinging, and he might come in at the 11th hour and actually get this overturned. And he's going to take it most likely to the Supreme Court. I can't guarantee that's going to happen. This is just me reading the media and seeing where things are going in their playbooks. This is just my hunch. But I want to go ahead and I want to bring this up for you guys. And because this is going to be, I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. This is going to be a good chunk of information. I'm going to do this a little bit differently today. So instead of me just reading off from the website and you guys watching me read, I'm actually going to do what they call picture in picture. Let me know what you guys think about this, but I wanted just to go over some of this and just so you know what this is. This is from something called theredelephants.com, theredelephants.com, if this is something that you want to keep up with. Now, this is what I find very interesting. If you click on, there's a section for videos on this. If you click on videos, their YouTube account has been terminated. Why? Why has there just been so much suppression of all of this information? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. None of this at this point makes sense to me, but basically they have been documenting a lot of what has been going on when it comes to the election, where things are going, and how things look. And they did this article November 5th that I want to pull up because I thought this was brilliant, and it breaks down more of the numbers, and you can see it here. So it says there is undeniable mathematical evidence the election is being stolen. So let's go ahead and let's look at this. It says, according to CBS News, President Trump does not plan to concede in the event that the media declares Joe Biden the winner of the election and elected the 46th president of the United States. The Trump campaign and its top advisors called for multiple lawsuits on the grounds of ongoing vote count would result in tallying illegally cast ballots. The lawsuit will amount to an aggressive effort to highlight anomalies, statistical impossibilities, or other perceived problems that could have affected vote counts before a final presidential winner is declared. The lawsuits will amount to an aggressive effort to highlight sorry, I already did that one. Many reporters at press conferences that took place in Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Michigan on Thursday asked his political appointees and supporters for evidence of the wide-scale problems they allege occurred. If it is just the mathematical evidence Americans are looking for, there is endless evidence. Here are some of the facts. Statistical impossibilities in Wisconsin and Michigan. In Wisconsin, voter turnout matched the record high of 2004. The Wisconsin Election Commission uses the estimated voting age population as the denominator when calculating statewide voter turnout numbers. According to the Election Commission, there was a 73% turnout in this Wisconsin election, okay? Turnout was 67% in 2016, 70% in 2012, 69% in 2008, and 73% in 2004. Apparently, Joe Biden smashed Barack Obama's 2008 turnout in most places in the country. Interesting. In both Michigan and Wisconsin, several vote dumps occurred at approximately 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning, which showed, and you guys remember that, the big dumps where all of a sudden Joe Biden received 100,000 votes and Trump got none. And received almost 100% of the votes, because that looks legitimate. 100% of the votes. President Trump was leading by hundreds of thousands of votes in both states as America went to sleep. And turnout in the state of Wisconsin seems to be particularly impossible. With absentee ballots, former Vice President Joe Biden was also up 60 points in Pennsylvania and almost 40 points in Michigan, according to the New York Times. Comparably, Biden was only up single digits in absentee voting in most other battleground states. So again, how does that make sense? Wisconsin has not yet been reported, and you can see the graph here. It says 2020 absentee mail-in voting advantage to Biden. So then it says election officials in Michigan and Wisconsin could not explain Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's sudden and dramatic vote tally increase that occurred in both states Wednesday morning. When asked at a Wednesday press conference how this occurred, Michigan Department of State spokesman Anita I think I'm gonna butcher this. Kiersnowski, I think I got that right, told reporters, "We cannot speculate as to why the results lean one way or another." Really, girl, you can't speculate as to why there looks like there's blatant fraud. This is particularly concerning. Republicans led in mail-in ballots, requested and mail-in and in-person ballots returned leading up to at the start of the election day. According to NBC News, on election day before the polls opened in Michigan, Republicans led 41 to 39 in mail-in ballots requested. Republicans also led 42 to 39% with mail-in and in-person ballots returned. In Wisconsin, on election day before the polls opened, Republicans led mail-in ballots requested 43 to 35%, and mail-in and early in-person ballots returned 43 to 35%. Almost all of the ballots found while most in the country were sleeping, after the officials stated they would stop counting, and they all went to Joe Biden. Again, more interesting stuff, and you can see the pictures here of what the news was depicting. Some statistically savvy observers noticed other mathematical flaws, as random numbers and statistics should follow a pattern in their distribution. If the numbers are falsified, it is easy to detect. And here we have it says, okay, working with some more reliable sources now. Biden had 49,000 votes posted on the City of Milwaukee website as of 4 a.m. And that's from web.archive.org. And it says, and 194,000 votes as of 3 p.m. Wednesday. 102 wards added more than 500 votes. 16 added more than 1,000. State margin, 20,000. Interesting. The increase in Democrats relative to Republicans was significantly higher when the Democrats were doing worse overall in early counting. Within each ward, late votes broke heavily to the Democrats in exactly the races where they are likely to affect the result. So then we have more information here. It says the voter is a Democrat, so presumably he's inclined to vote Democrat for both. We can compare within a given ward which of the two races showed bigger improvements for Democrats in that particular ward after Tuesday night. Indeed, the increase in Democrats relative to Republicans is significantly higher when the Democrat is doing worse overall in the early counting. Within each ward, late votes break more heavily to Democrat in exactly those races where they are likely to affect the results. Well, of course, that's what it would be. Fast arriving Pennsylvania ballots. Ballots in Pennsylvania also seem to be arriving before they're sent out, arriving the same day or arriving just one day after being mailed out. A data analysis explains that there are so-called fast-traveling ballots appearing. Their distribution is skewed toward mail-in applications compared to the rest, which are skewed towards online applications. He plotted ballot sent date versus ballot return date and added in parentheses ballot sent date versus ballot sent date on the same plot, which gave a straight line 1-to-1. Everything below this line traveled back in time. If only look at those suspicious mail-in ballots. Most of them come from Pennsylvania and lay around 44%. There is a difference in percentage of suspicious ballots by mail application type. OLM AILV. This is a mail ballot application that was submitted online. Mail-in. This is a mail-in ballot application. Suspicious ballots have a higher ratio of mail-in compared to online than normal ballots. You would expect that under normal circumstances, and if there are perfectly legal explanations for the suspicious ballots, the turnaround time should not depend on how the ballot was requested. Also, table above is colored by percentage age for total Y. Y is for suspicious. Again, interesting. Look at it. It says data is taken from here. If only look at the suspicious mail-in ballots. Most of them come from Philadelphia and lay around 44%. Massive enthusiasm gap. Joe Biden, with almost record low enthusiasm, underperformed across many major cities compared to Hillary Clinton in 2016. In New York City, Chicago, and Miami, he was down 201,408, 260,835, and 6,945 respectively. However, in the states Biden needed to overtake Trump in 2020, he gained massively. According to the Associated Press vote total data in Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh, he was up 76,518, 67,630, and 29,150 respectively. According to polling, the difference in enthusiasm for the candidates is significant. Trump leads 52.9% to 45% among the 51.2% of registered Rust Belt voters who say they are extremely enthusiastic about voting for their preferred candidate. Among likely voters who are extremely enthusiastic, the president enjoyed a double dip advantage, 60.5% to 44.9%. And you can see this information here. Less than half of the supporters of former Vice President Joe Biden, 46.9%, said they were voting for Joe Biden because they like the candidate. Approximately 8 in 10 voted for President Trump because they wanted him as president. And that was another big thing, guys. So many voted. This isn't really just about the corruption. I'm just saying in general, so many people voted for Biden and they didn't like Biden at all. They just hate Trump. And Biden is even worse. They say Trump's an R word, and I'm like, have you seen Biden's record? Huge. Pennsylvania chaos. In Pennsylvania, Trump led by almost 800,000 votes on election night after most Americans headed to bed. Over the course of the last 72 hours, President Trump's lead shrunk to less than 95,000 votes, led in the Keystone State, and then Joe Biden took the lead. Over the past couple of days, batches of votes started flowing into the final tally, mostly in favor of Joe Biden. 538 reported recently that 2 more batches of Pennsylvania votes were reported, 23,277 votes in Philadelphia. All for Biden. No, of course, the ones were found were just all for Biden. Nothing to see here. The Pennsylvania Democrat Party predicted the remaining 580,000 uncounted mail-in ballots will go resoundingly for Joe Biden, projecting that the former vice president will carry the state by around 175,000 votes. Based on the party distribution of the ballots cast in each county, we believe that 75% of the remaining ballots will go to Joe Biden, says Senator Sharif Street wrote in a statement. We project Biden will win by about 175,000 votes. Biden is only leading in Pennsylvania by just a few thousand votes. According to Politico, it was the ballots found in postal facilities that put Biden over the top in Pennsylvania. Oh, they just found him randomly. They just found him randomly in postal facilities. Right. Postal workers found more than 1,000 ballots in Philadelphia facilities Thursday and 300 in Pittsburgh. The Philadelphia and Pittsburgh ballots were part of more than 2,000 ballots discovered in dozens of postal facilities across the 2 states and expedited to election officials pursuant to a judge's court order. For what it's worth, there also happens to be a record number of 90-year-olds registered to vote in 1 year than at any other point in Pennsylvania history, and considering we're in a pandemic, how interesting is that? It says a Pennsylvania mail carrier said in a sworn affidavit that he was ordered to collect and submit late ballots. He said supervisors then backdated them so they appeared to be mailed in time. Postmaster Rob Weisenbach directed my coworkers and I to pick up ballots after Election Day and provide them to him, Mr. Hopkins said in an affidavit. As discussed more fully below, I heard Weisenbach tell a supervisor at my office that Weisenbach was backdating the postmarks on the ballots to make it appear as though the ballots had been collected on November 3rd, 2020, despite them in fact being collected on November 4th and possibly later. Confirmed errors. On Election Day, there were several confirmed reporting errors that were fixed upon being revealed by journalists as they watched the numbers roll in. So let's look. Arizona. In Arizona, according to Politico, an error found that Edison research data that was identified by a journalist showed that 98% of the vote had been counted in Arizona, when in fact only 84% of the vote had been counted. Officials corrected this mistake when it was pointed out. Oh, stupid. In Georgia, voters were unable to cast machine ballots for a couple of hours in Morgan and Spalding counties after the electronic devices crashed, state officials says. All right, randomly crashes. The companies uploaded something last night which is not normal and it caused a glitch, said Marcia Ridley, election supervisor at Spalding County Board of Elections. That glitch prevented poll workers from using the poll books to program smart cards that the voters insert into the voting machines. That is something that they don't ever do. I've never seen them update anything the day before the election, Ridley said. Ridley said she did not know what the upload contained. Again, considering we're learning more and more about that software that came out, interesting. Michigan. There was also something suspicious about the voter reporting in Antrim County, Michigan, where Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 30 points in 2016. Initial vote totals there showed Biden ahead of Trump by 29 points, a result that can't possibly be accurate, as plenty of journalists noted. When New York Times journalists pointed this out on Twitter, they corrected this and called this an error, and it says Antrim County, Michigan makes no sense, and they show the numbers. Just, guys, insane. According to the Detroit Free Press, a USA Today affiliate, officials investigated the wonky election results in Antrim County. Antrim County Clerk Cheryl Guy said the results on electronic tapes and a computer were somehow scrambled after the cards were transported in sealed bags from township precincts to county offices and uploaded onto a computer. In 2016, Trump won Antrim County with about 62% of the vote, compared with about 33% for Democrat Hillary Clinton. Trump beat Clinton by about 4,000 votes. Wednesday morning, Antrim results showed Democrat Joe Biden leading Trump by slightly more than 3,000 votes with 98% of precincts reporting. Some more in Michigan. Here we go. In Oakland County's 15th County Commission District, a fixed computer glitch turned a losing Republican into a winner. A computer error led election officials in Oakland County to hand an upset victory Wednesday to a Democrat, only to switch the win back to the incumbent Republican a day later. The incumbent, Adam Kochendorfer, appeared to lose by a few hundred votes, an outcome that seemed odd to many in this campaign. After the apparent computer error was found and fixed, Kochendorfer ended up winning by over 1,000 votes. There were many other confirmed errors, including in Virginia, where 100,000 extra votes were tallied for Joe Biden. Oh, that's not weird. And more may be revealed as the weeks go on. There were also many processing delays, specifically in Fulton County, Georgia, where a pipe suddenly burst at the processing center. On November 4th at approximately 6:07 a.m., the staff at State Farm Arena notified Fulton County Registration and Elections of a burst pipe affecting the room where absentee ballots were being tabulated. You don't say. And here's the thing, of course, mistakes can happen, things like this can happen. It just seems like it's too many things compressed too quickly. As of 7 p.m. on Wednesday, Fulton County election officials said 30,000 absentee ballots were not processed due to a pipe bursting. Officials reassured voters that none of the ballots were damaged and the water was quickly cleaned up. But the emergency delayed officials from processing ballots between 5:30 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Sworn affidavits and testimonies of fraud. A new election lawsuit filed in Michigan on Sunday alleges massive voter fraud and vote counting procedures in Wayne County, a Democratic stronghold and home to the city of Detroit. Witnesses filing sworn affidavits under oath allege that Wayne County election officials encouraged fraud, including changing legal names and dates on the ballots, ballot harvesting, voter intimidation, and preventing poll watchers from challenging irregularities in the vote counting process. If you guys remember, I did a video to that. Trump's response to Biden winning was a team of lawyers and Rudy Giuliani coming forth, and the team of lawyers said we wanted to go and observe the process. We were not allowed. The Supreme Court even came in and said, hey, let them, and they still didn't allow us. So that's what that is right there. And it says this type of widespread fraud in the counting and processing of voter ballots cannot be allowed to stand. Michigan citizens are entitled to know that their elections are conducted in a fair and legal manner and that every legal vote is properly counted, said David A. Kalman, an attorney with the Great Lakes Justice Center. And you can see this is from Benjamin Weingarten. It says, read the sworn affidavit from GOP poll challenger and former assistant AG for Michigan, Zachary Larson, on the alleged fraud that he observed in Detroit. This is third world stuff, and every American should be outraged if the allegations are true. And guys, this is what and look, of course, Twitter, of course, big media comes in and says this claim about election fraud is disputed. Well, of course it's disputed. This is a sworn affidavit from a guy. Like, if it's his affidavit, it doesn't mean it's like what? Again, some of the stuff that like big tech is doing doesn't make sense. I feel like they're just showing their hand at this point. There are several sworn testimonies and witness accounts from the election or postal workers who claimed that fraud was being engaged in and ballots were being wrongly discarded. The breakdown is from Ideas and Data. So it looks like, guys, these are just people that they had issues. Listen to this. Michigan, a city worker from Detroit claimed that he and fellow employees were told to backdate ballots that came in too late. From Michigan, poll watcher and former assistant state AG Zachary Larson filed an affidavit stating he had seen voter fraud being committed by election workers. Pennsylvania. A Pennsylvania mail carrier has said in a sworn affidavit that he was ordered by supervisors to collect and submit late ballots, which he said supervisors then backdated so that they appeared to have been mailed in time. Nevada. This is somebody who says, and this is Larson, says, I personally witnessed disregarding of signature verification as well as other irregularities. The whistleblower said in an affidavit. While working, I observed a significant number of signatures on mail-in ballots and I believe did not match the name and should have been reviewed. When I asked the supervisors, and they redacted their name, and others about it, instead of taking the ballots to verify the signatures in the election electronic database, the supervisor told me to push the envelope through without verification. And from Singman, Arizona. Based on sworn testimony, it is alleged that ballots in Maricopa County featuring overvoting were invalidated rather than fixed. And then we have Heller, and this is for 2020, this is Pennsylvania. Election observers were kept 30 feet from the actual voting counting, meaning they could not see the ballots. And then we have from Wisconsin, Election officials track down witnesses addressing for absentee ballots, a policy that may be illegal. From Wisconsin, only the state legislature can change election procedures, but election officials allowed potentially over 100,000 voters to pass by ID requirements by claiming that the virus prevented them from leaving home. Pennsylvania, Democratic election leaders told county officials to give party operatives information about rejecting mail-in ballots in violation of state law. Interesting. Biden's vote tallies supposedly violated Benford's law. Some data scientists allege that Biden's vote tallies in some parts of the country violated Benford's law, so we'll get into that. All of the other candidates' tallies follow Benford's law across the country, except Biden's when he gets into some tight races. Benford's law is one accepted test for catching election fraud used by the State Department and forensic accountants. Walter Mabane stated Monday that some data, in fact, inconsistent, but cautioned analyzing before all vote tallies have been concluded. So interesting. So a lot of these in different parts of the country, this is violated. Doesn't make sense. It's not passing even what the election officials put in there to overcome fraud issues. Very, very interesting. So let's look and see where this is. So we have this, it looks like it's not, it looks like there are things going on with Milwaukee, and it looks like Allegheny, I think is how you say that, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. Analysts previously ran the data with Allegheny, I think, absentee ballots, specifically using the Mabane second-digit test with Trump versus Biden. In Trump's, there were only 2 deviations, but neither were significant at the 5% level. For Biden in Allegheny, absentee ballots, there are multiple significant deviations. For Trump, none of the deviations are significant at the 5% level. Interesting, and you can see the graphs here. Walter Mabane weighed in on the second-digit analysis in a paper. He claims that Fulton County, Georgia has inconsistent second digits for Democrats, but does not provide a statistical analysis, as he claims he is lacking precinct data. Mabane also mentioned Chicago was inconsistent as well. He evaluated Milwaukee County and Allegheny County, not absentee ballots, and concluded that their second distribution is inconsistent with Bedford's law again. Mabane's final verdict regarding the elections in these and other jurisdictions is that analysis should await the final production of complete vote counts and should draw on additional information about election processes that go beyond mere vote count data. Hold on, thirsty. I'm a thirsty bee. Okay, isn't that what they say about people? They're thirsty. It means like they're jealous or they want something, right? Senate and House races compared to presidential seem curious. This one I find really interesting, guys. Others have taken a look at ballot numbers in important states with no down ballot votes versus states that are not swing states, and noticed a disturbing trend. In Michigan, Trump received 2,637,173 votes, while the GOP Senate candidates received 2,630,042 votes. The difference here is only 7,131, which is not far off from what we've seen historically. In the same state, Joe Biden received 2,787,544 votes, while the Democratic Senate candidate received 2,718,451. So that's almost 70,000 vote difference. You would think if they were going to vote one way, they would continue just to vote that way. Doesn't make sense. The difference is 69,093 votes, which is much higher than the historical norm. In Georgia, it's even worse, Lord. President Trump gained 2,432,799 votes, while the GOP Senate candidate tallied 2,433,617 votes. This is a difference of only 818 votes. Wow. Joe Biden, in contrast, gained 2,414,651 votes, while his Democratic Senate candidate tallied 2,318,850 votes. This is a difference of 95,801 votes. In many counties and states across the country, including in those called for Biden or where Trump is now trailing, Republicans substantially overperformed what was projected. NBC estimates Republicans may ultimately end up gaining as many as 8 seats. Wow. In Cuyahoga, Cuyahoga, Ohio, Joe Biden only had a net gain of 4,000 votes compared to Hillary Clinton's 2016 performance, yet at the same time had a net gain of almost 70,000 in Wayne County, Michigan. Numbers like this are unprecedented and highly questionable. Some economists have even expressed their confusion regarding what happened in Wayne County and Milwaukee in the dead of night. I'm sure it was nothing, guys. Joe Biden apparently ended up with millions more votes than Barack Obama received in his historic 2008 election, where he ended up with 365 electoral votes, winning Florida, North Carolina, and even Indiana. This is even with millions more votes to be counted yet in 2020. And former politicians of blue cities chime in. President Trump was leading big until certain Rust Belt states froze their ballot return reports. When reporting resumed, Trump began to lose steadily. In Mexico, 1998, the PRI was losing handily until a ballot returns froze, only to resume in a massive pro-PRI turnaround. And it says, in an autobiography that began circulating in Mexico this week, De La Madrid sheds more light on that dark night in Mexico's history. What he reveals is not new, political analysts said, but in 850 pages, De La Madrid's memoir gives the firmest confirmation to date of one of the country's biggest open secrets. The presidential election of 1988 was not legitimate. Political analysts and historians have described that election as one of the most egregious examples of the fraud that allowed the Institutional Revolutionary Party to control the county for more than 7 decades and the beginning of the end of its authoritarian rule. Rob Blagojevich explained that there is no question that this is what happened in Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Detroit, and other cities. In big cities where they control the political apparatus and they control the apparatus that counts the votes, and they control the polling places and the one who counts the votes. It's widespread and it's deep. Blagojevich said on Friday, I guess even corrupt politicians who went to jail understand the impossibility that Biden outperformed Hillary in only cities located in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Wisconsin, all while the GOP lost 0 House races and won 8 of 11 governor's races. Like, come on. Again, if they're going to vote blue, you would think they would vote blue across the board. It doesn't make sense. As Nicaraguan dictator Anastasio Somoza once said, indeed, you won the election, but I won the count. Ballots received after Election Day. A federal judge on Wednesday said he may call Postmaster General Louise DeJoy to testify about why the U.S. Post Service missed an Election Day deadline to sweep locations in several states for left-behind mail-in ballots. The order issued by U.S. District Judge Emmett G. Sullivan was meant to trigger sweeps of facilities in 6 key battleground states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, and Florida. Some of the 12 districts include in the order have legislation against accepting ballots after midnight on election night. Now, you can tell your clients this in no uncertain terms, Sullivan said in a statement Wednesday's hearing. I am not pleased about the 11th hour development last night. You can tell your client that someone may have a price to pay for that. According to Washington Post, more than 150,000 ballots were caught in U.S. Postal Service processing facilities and not delivered by Election Day. In a pair of decisions, the Supreme Court on Wednesday let election officials in 2 key battleground states, Pennsylvania and North Carolina, accept absentee ballots for several days after the election. In Pennsylvania case, the court refused a plea from Republicans in the state that it decided before Election Day whether election officials can continue receiving absentee ballots until November 12th. In the North Carolina case, the court let stand lower court rulings that allowed the state's Board of Election to extend the deadline to 9 days. 9 days after the election? 9 days after the election day, up from 3 days called for by the state legislature. On October 26th, the Supreme Court declined to extend the deadline for counting of mail-in votes in Wisconsin, a victory for Republicans who brought the legal challenge. This particular extension ordered originally came from federal judge in September, a crucial point that conservatives on the court all agree on. Federal courts shouldn't micromanage state-run elections. The Supreme Court ordered Pennsylvania Democrats to respond by Thursday evening in a case challenging the state's 3-day extension for counting mail-in ballots. President Trump has moved to intervene in a lawsuit brought by Pennsylvania Republicans, arguing the state's Democratic Party and Secretary of State violated the law by extending the time for counting mail-in ballots to November 6th at 5 p.m., despite the state's legislature setting the deadline as Election Day. The lawsuit takes issue with the state Supreme Court ruling that postmarked ballots be presumed to have been mailed before November 3rd, even if not clearly postmarked to that effect. North Carolina will not finish counting votes in the presidential and state elections until local election boards process outstanding mail-in and provisional ballots next week, according to the state election officials. The process spelled out in state law means the winner of North Carolina's 15 electoral votes for president likely won't be known until next Friday, November 13th. The court, at Trump's request, recently issued an interim order to election boards to set aside certain mail ballots that lack identifying info for the voter and not count those votes until after the court rules further. And then here's a fun one. We're going to cover this at some point. Thousands of deceased confirmed to be registering and even some voting. Guys, hashtag Those Lives Matter. An observer noticed something curious about some of the names on the ballots recorded in the state of Michigan. Upon further review, one particular name out of the list and confirmed to have cast a ballot happened to be born in 1902 and passed away in 1984. A pollster noticed the list in video and used Social Security Death Index data confirming the deceased registered voter. And I wish I had videos, guys, I would put in here, but we deleted their channel. And here's somebody on Twitter who says, LOL, he's right. I used info via Social Security Death Index on your voter information on the Michigan SOS website. William was born in 1902, died in Detroit at age 82 in 1984. He applied for an absentee ballot on 9/11, submitted it on 9/19. They've been at it for months. And then it says here's a list of over 14,000 dead people who either voted in Wayne County, Detroit, or were registered to vote. Here's the website where you can verify for yourself. Note that you do have to check the month of your birth. I'll have a whole video detailing this one in particular because this one gets really nuts, but I just can't believe they thought they'd get away with all of this. So this says just under 10,000 people confirmed dead, returned absentee ballots in Michigan. We're done for now. While I'm open to the idea some of these have been rejected, I'm not open to any outright dismissal. They were rejected. This was a small, tested, listed that suggests irregularities in plenty. And then it says his claim about election fraud is disputed once again. What is big tech hiding, guys? Another poll watcher, who was later kicked out for taking photographs, noticed a decent-sized list of Michigan residents who have also been confirmed to have cast their ballots. All of the names on the list he reviewed show their birth date in chronological order. Apparently, there are many voters born in the early 1900s in the Great Lakes, and you can see a photo here. Unreal. Unflipping real. It says right here, it is. I just got kicked out. Glad they were able to snap that. I'm glad they got that then. It says a lawsuit filed by the Public Interest Legal Foundation, PLIF, alleges that there are at least 21,000 dead people in Pennsylvania's voter rolls. The lawsuit claims that Pennsylvania failed to reasonably maintain their voter registration records under federal and state law in the time for the 2020 presidential election. It says, as of October 7th, 2020, at least 9,212 registrants have been dead for at least 5 years. At least 1,990 registrants have been dead for at least 10 years, and at least 197 registrants have been dead for over 20 years, the lawsuit states. Pennsylvania still left the names of more than 21,000 dead individuals on the voter rolls less than a month before one of the most consequential general elections for federal office holders in many years. The lawsuit continues. According to the lawsuit, about 92% of the 21,000 dead people on Pennsylvania voters' rolls died sometime before October 2019. About 216 dead people show voting credits after federally listed dates of death in 2016-2018, the lawsuit alleges. It says studies find hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots and more votes than existed registered voters. According to CBS LA, Ellen Swenson with the Election Integrity Project California says they found more than 277,000 questionable ballots were mailed in the election year in LA County before Election Day. That's 63% of all questionable ballots mailed statewide. It includes more than 4,800 duplicate ballots mailed to the same person, and 728 ballots mailed to people who likely had died. In 2016, their investigation found many dead voters still registered. Now, 4 years later, there are none. If this is happening in LA, it's certainly happening in major cities nationwide. In October, Judicial Watch released a comparison study of Census Bureau population statistics and state voter registration data to reveal a notable disparity. The study found that 352 counties in 29 states managed to have 1.8 million more registered voters than eligible voting age citizens. In other words, the registration rates of those counties exceeding 100% of eligible voters. The study found 8 states showing statewide registration rates exceeding 100%, including Michigan. Milwaukee recently updated its voting data for its wards after a newspaper pointed out 7 wards had more votes than registered voters. Some voter turnouts originally showed higher than 200%. You can see the graph and see it for yourself. Good job, guys. Way to hide it well. And then here's another one. It says, Joe Biden won huge margins Tuesday in the city of Milwaukee. Where did he do best? And you can see the information here. It says, in Nevada, lawsuits are underway regarding over 3,000 individuals who have cast their ballot illegally in the election. A letter from lawyers to Attorney General Bill Barr, which includes 60 pages voter records, stated that they have identified 3,062 individuals who appear to have improperly cast ballots in the election. We verified this by cross-referencing the names and addresses of voters with National Change of Address Database, says Catherine Hurridge of CBS News. And you can see there is that letter. So there you have it, guys. A very comprehensive, big, long overview of exactly what is going on with all of this. And this is why, look, I know a lot of you that watch me, you lean Democrat, you are Democrat, you're always welcome here. I have no issue with that. But a lot of you who keep saying, I just need to get over the election, these are the reasons why I can't. There are too many issues, too many inconsistencies. There's too much going on with this. And for me, I don't care if it's happening to Trump or Biden. If we don't have the integrity of being able to trust our election system, we're doomed, guys. We have just been slowly, these evil people at the top of the government have been dismantling our democracy for years. And we've slowly just been led down this path to allow it. And I'm desperately reaching out and trying to tell you guys, listen, I don't care who you voted for. It's important that we all make sure and try to keep the integrity of the Constitution, of democracy, and of these elections. Because if not, then we're going to follow the ways of so many other countries. Don't think that it's okay for this cheating to go on, or that you should turn a blind eye to it just because the person you wanted to win won, because you bought into that flavor of narrative. None of these people are good people, guys. But something doesn't sit right that there's this much voter fraud and this many issues. And at this point, we should all be concerned, in my opinion, and I'm going to continue to keep you guys up to date about this. If you like this video, guys, please do me a favor and give me a big thumbs up. Like the video, subscribe, hit notifications so you can be notified what's coming in the pipeline for you, and stimulus news and election and politics and everything in between. Sound off in the comments. Let me know what you think. And please, guys, share this content with anybody you know that's struggling right now. People on unemployment, waiting for unemployment, stimulus checks, SBA loan and grant issues, and everything in between. I'd love to have the chance to help all of you, and I appreciate that. And the more you let this channel grow, the more you do all that, the channel grows. I can help more people and reach more people. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, hit notifications, share the content, the more my channel grows, the more things I can do for you guys. Right now, we're giving away $100 gift cards. It's so simple. This is all you have to do to be eligible. Like the video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content, boom. You're entered, you're eligible. That's all you have to do. Make sure and do it for every video you see. And guys, the more times you share and the more times you comment, you have more chances to be entered. If you comment 100 times, you have 100 times more chances to win a gift card. Good luck, and I announce winners on Monday. Add me on Facebook, Katie's Insight, like the page, go join the group. Right now it's called Katie's Corner. It'll be changed to Katie's Insight soon. We are sharing election issues, politics, and really important stimulus, and we're all helping each other. It's one awesome party. I would love to see you there. I'm exhausted. Are y'all exhausted from this video? I'm exhausted from this video. I'm gonna go chill, and I'm gonna get things ready for the last video and then pass out, because I'm gonna do my best to continue to give you guys as much good content as possible. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful to every one of you. I know I say this when I end every video, but you all have changed my life, and I'm gonna work as hard as I can to make sure I can be of service to all of you. Lots of love, appreciation. Thank you. Till next time, take care. Blessings. Mwah! And I'll see you soon. Bye.